Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast Turning Pages. I'm Ryan.
And I'm Ocean.
And thank you so much for tuning back in. So today we are going to be talking about the book New Moon by Stephenie Meyer. So this is book 2 in the Twilight series. We're halfway through. So what did you think about the book? I want to hear about all of your thoughts. Oh wait, should I give like a little thing on what it's about?
Maybe.
Yeah. So if you guys don't know, the first book, Twilight, follows this girl named Bella, and she finds this guy named Edward, who turns out to be a vampire. But she doesn't mind, she doesn't care, and they fall in love and they have this relationship, even though there are other vampires trying to kill her all the time. But in New Moon, spoilers up ahead, he leaves her because he thinks it's what's best for her, which leads to her spiraling into a depression, and she seeks out friendship in Jacob Black, who is sort of there in the first book, but like not really. And so they become besties, and he is obviously like in love with Bella, but she doesn't reciprocate those feelings. So whenever one day he's all of a sudden being really cold to her, and his dad is always saying like, oh, he's sick, he can't see you, he's out, he can't see you, it worries Bella a lot. So she seeks him out only to find out that he has turned into a werewolf. And yeah, so then eventually they kind of rekindle a little bit their friendship, but he's worried about her safety. And then Bella is obsessed with these new reckless kind of acts, because whenever she does something reckless, she sees Edward in her mind, like in thin air. And so she's like, oh my gosh, I'm going to do all these really reckless things, like fix up motorcycles with Jacob and, jump off a cliff to see Edward. So that's what happens. But Alice sees her jump off a cliff one day and thinks that she's dead, not knowing that she was pulled out from the water by Jacob. So then Alice comes rushing back home because the Cullens had all left. And she's like, Bella, oh my God, how are you still alive? I saw you dead. And then Bella's like, no, I was just cliff jumping, as one does. And Alice was like, oh. So, but then they find out that Edward is going to the Volturi, which is kind of like 3 vampires that are considered vampire royalty. Like, they set rules for the fellow vampires. They've been alive for thousands of years, since the Etruscans, which I found very interesting as a history major. And so they go to Italy, to Volterra, to stop Edward from, getting the Volturi to kill him. And because he wants to be reunited with Bella, that's why he's doing this. So it takes them some time, but they get there and they save him, and, everything ends up being okay, after a little scary meeting with the Volturi. Everything ends up being okay. They go back home. Bella and Edward get back together, and Jacob is heartbroken because he thought that over time Bella would be with him. So yeah, that's basically the story. And at the end, because Edward doesn't want to turn her into a vampire, but that was making that deal with the Volturi, saying that she was going to eventually be a vampire, was the only way they could get out and escape death. So Bella goes to the Cullens' house and is like, we have to have a vote. Let's see, who is on board with me becoming a vampire. Almost everyone says yes. And Edward's, mad. He throws a little hissy fit. He's like, oh, my God, no. So they're like, okay, wait until after graduation. But Edward's like, wait, I have one condition if I'm going to turn you into a vampire myself. I want you to marry me. So that's basically New Moon. So tell me all of your thoughts. What did you think? What were your thoughts? What were some parts that stood out to you?
I thought it was ridiculous, and it was so funny, and I was so mad at Bella the whole book. I think I like her even less now than in Twilight. And same with Edward. hate them both. I'm sorry. I don't like them.
Mm-hmm.
I was really annoyed with Bella the whole book. Like, where do I even start? Like, it's okay to be sad over a breakup, but like, bro,
Literally.
do you know what I mean?
I agree. It was the whole kind of story. What I found really interesting is that, he breaks up with her in a forest, and then she lies on the forest floor for hours.
Mm-hmm.
And to the point where Charlie is so worried, her dad, is so worried that he gets this team together and they go searching for her in the woods.
Mm-hmm. Like, I find she has absolutely no regard for anyone but herself and her own feelings.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, she's horrible. She's even worse to her friends.
Mm-hmm.
She's literally going insane over this guy. What do you even like about him?
I know.
All he did was get mad.
I know.
He's not even human. He
I know.
wants to kill you, and he's told you that multiple times.
Yeah.
He disrespects your wishes constantly. He's possessive. He's aggressive. He is a horrible man. He has no good qualities. Other than like, oh, he's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
That is like the only good quality that she describes him as in the book. And she absolutely loses her mind over him. She does not care about her dad. She wants to turn into a vampire so badly. She does not even begin to think about like how that would affect her parents. She is horrible to her friends. She judges them. Sorry, I'm just so mad.
Pop off. Like, I agree
I'm so
entirely with
mad.
everything you're saying.
She is horrible to them. And then like when she finally hangs out with one of them, Jessica, just to use her. She doesn't even care about Jessica.
Mm-hmm.
And then she like goes and puts them both in danger by like going to these random men.
Yeah, it's like these guys in a bar.
Yeah.
And she's like, I thought you were someone else, sorry. But she like lingers there for so long. And then Jessica's like, what the hell's going on, Bella?
Literally. Yeah. And she like completely ignores all of them. And then there's Jacob. She does not consider his feelings at all.
And it's so obvious he's so in love with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's absolutely devastating. Like, justice for Jacob, honestly.
Justice for
I
Jacob.
know what happens later on, but we're focusing on New Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And in New Moon, he is so sweet to Bella. He helps her when she's depressed. He helps her get out of that depression a little bit. And they become best friends. And even though it's obviously hurting him that they aren't together romantically, he's still there for her as a best friend and respects her boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And he has such a better personality than Edward, like a million times better.
Mm-hmm.
And what else? Yeah, just everything. I thought her reaction to Edward leaving was so irrational. I think she needs to take a step back and realize at her age, it's unhealthy to be that deeply obsessed with a person that you barely know.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like a vampire. He is allowed to leave. Like, obviously he was like really mean and stuff, but like, let him go.
Mm-hmm.
Let him go. You're better off without him. He was right about that.
100%. She was super unhealthily attached to Edward.
Mm-hmm.
And it was shown so well through all of her actions.
Yeah.
And maybe that's a teenager thing. Maybe Stephenie Meyer was just like, oh, all teenagers are like this. But they didn't even date for that long as well.
Mm-hmm.
And they knew each other for longer than they dated. And I feel like I understand being attached to someone, but she was so unhealthily attached. He became her whole life. She had no friends.
Mm-hmm.
And she like basically like cut out all of her friends. And I just like imagine being one of those friends,
Literally.
And poor Jessica having to deal with that. It's like
Yeah.
Bella put them both in danger.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not what a friend does. And I agree. I think Bella was never really a good friend. Like, I think she was always definitely, like, not paying attention to her friends' needs and, like, they're wanting to hang out with her.
Mm-hmm.
But this book was a whole other level because even without Edward in her life, she still found a way to prioritize something besides her friends and to neglect her friends.
Yeah.
And I think that overall kind of shows what kind of person she is. And going on to Jacob, in this book, I am Team Jacob.
Me too.
Edward leaves her, and I understand his motives for leaving. He could have done it a different way, though.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't have to be like, I never loved you, I'm cheating on you, type of
Yeah.
thing. That was really sucky.
That's
And,
crazy.
like, there were a bunch of other ways to do it, first of all. I understand why it needed to be done, but also you can't make a decision for someone else. Even if it's the right decision, you at least have to let them weigh in.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's both of your lives that you're impacting right now, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I forget where I was going with this. Oh, yeah. But Edward, I was mad at him, too, throughout this book. And I was mad that he said he'd leave her alone. It was like he would never exist. And then every single time she did something reckless, he'd be like, you promised me, Bella. She doesn't owe you anything. She doesn't owe you absolutely anything. You're the one who left her in a completely disrespectful way, might I add. She doesn't owe you anything.
Mm-hmm.
The audacity of him being like, you have to promise me this. No, she doesn't have to promise you anything.
Yeah, absolutely.
She is not entitled to do anything for you now that you are split up.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that really made me upset. The audacity that he has. But also kind of like, you know, her, like, I understand it takes a while to get over relationships, 100%. But she didn't even try to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, in the book, she's still doing her day-to-day life. Like, she's working, she's doing school, she's doing homework, but she's not hanging out with her friends. All she's doing is distracting herself. She's not letting herself feel those emotions, those sad emotions that you need to feel. Mm-hmm. And she's not being very kind to her parents either, who are nothing but patient with her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just kind of like, and she eventually kind of gets out of that funk a little bit with Jacob's help, might I add. Girl, you are an independent woman and you can get over things yourself. You have the strength. You don't need a man to help you with those things.
I completely agree.
And I think it's sad in a way that she thinks that she always needs a man to help her out of these situations. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. She has such low confidence in herself that she's like, I can't do this alone. But in the process of saying those things, she's fully acknowledging that she's using Jacob to get better, which is completely selfish. And it hurts him, even though he loves her and they're best friends. You can tell it still hurts him because he loves her on such a more deeper romantic level. Bless you. He loves her on such a more deeper romantic level. And she tells him a bunch of times, like, at least she's like, you know, she's like, it means different, like, you know, holding hands means differently to you than it does to me. Like, that's nice of her to say and all. But she also continues to say, I don't want you to stop trying. And I think that's also kind of selfish because it's like, you know, that was going on for months where she was like, don't stop trying, like, flirting with me and stuff like that. It's like, girl, if you're not in love with him now, you might never be.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I thought she was very aggravating. I felt bad for Jacob. And, you know, on top of that, he's turning into a werewolf and he doesn't have control over that. And, like, he has a painful thing going on top of how Bella is treating him. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, he's going through enough. He doesn't have to worry about a promise that he made you to not hurt you because, you know, his reasons for kind of staying away from her are totally valid. Werewolves can't always control when they turn, and he doesn't want to hurt her, just like Sam hurt his fiance. Mm-hmm. And so I thought, you know, that's her relying on someone else again. That's her getting unhealthily attached to someone else again. And I think it's a shame that she can't find it in herself to find that, you know, that bit of strength.
Yeah.
But I understand, like, she never really had a good mental health in the first book either.
That's true.
But
actually.
It's like, you know, in this book, it was a whole other level. Like, Jessica said that, you know, she was like, hey, Bella, are you suicidal? And Bella was like, no, how could you say that? But literally all of her actions showed that she was. She got motorcycles and was constantly in the hospital getting bandages and stuff like that because they were hurting her. She was jumping off of a cliff. She was, like, doing all these things, being in the forest whenever she didn't know that bears in the forest were werewolves and that it was Jacob and his pack. Like, she didn't know that yet, but she still went in the forest knowing the danger of the animals. And she saw Laurent, and Laurent almost killed her. And it's like, girl, you have no self-preservation. Mm-hmm. She never did, and it just got worse.
That kind of, like, it frustrated me because I didn't see it as, like, suicidal behavior. I saw it as, like, the actions that she was doing were centered around Edward and the way that she felt around Edward rather than, like, her being suicidal. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
yeah,
bro.
But I loved the Wolfpack community. I loved the guys. Mm-hmm. And Emily, Sam's fiance, so sweet. I actually thought that they were a bit better of a found family than the Cullens were.
Absolutely.
Because we're the Cullens. Are they super nice to each other? Yes. But obviously when you're a human going into a vampire family, it's different. You know, the werewolves didn't want to eat her.
Yeah.
They were trying to protect her from Victoria.
Yeah, I love the werewolves so much more than the vampires.
And they're so silly and funny, and they're always making light of things. And with the Cullens, it's always very serious.
Yeah, they're so dramatic.
Edward is so dramatic. He is the definition of drama queen. It is actually insane. So, yeah, to wrap up my thoughts, I think Bella needs to see a therapist. And like she's like, you know, I understand why she's keeping the secret of the vampires. Because, you know, obviously if someone came up to me saying, oh, there are vampires on the streets, I might be like, I don't know. But like, you know, like, I'm glad she was able to open up to Jacob about it. Because it gave her someone to talk to. And I just feel bad. Like, she has no one to talk to. She can't even get a therapist because no one knows what's going on.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was also a really selfish thing almost for the Cullens to do, was to burden her with this really huge secret.
I completely agree.
Yeah. I mean, I love the Cullens, don't get me wrong, but I think that it's a huge secret. And, like, they did break up and she did need therapy, but it's not like she could talk to anyone about her full issues and get over them because of what happened.
Yeah.
Because of who they were. Yeah, so her and Jacob become best friends. And then Alice comes back after Bella cliff dives and is like, I thought you were dead. And she's like, I'm obviously not dead. And Jacob like begs Bella to stay, but she's like, no, I have to go save Edward because Edward is going to expose himself to the population of Volterra to get the Volturi to kill him. Like a drama queen, he's going to expose his bare skin out in the sun, traumatizing everyone around him.
Bro, he's so dramatic. It's like,
bruh.
What is his problem?
I literally, So Bella goes and she almost stops him from happening. I mean, he lingers in the sun for a little bit because he's like, oh my god, I'm in heaven. Not even thinking about this is real life, even though she's like, stop, open your eyes, like, this is real life. He's like, oh my god, like, I didn't think it would happen this fast. I didn't think I'd die this fast. Bro. This guy. But anyway, but then the Volturi's pissed. They're like, excuse me, you just exposed yourself to our citizens, who we are desperately trying to protect from knowing about vampires' existence. Bro. I actually kind of vibe with the Volturi a little bit. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I really vibed with them.
The main guy was so goofy. And, you know, but I found it interesting that those vampires have powers and, you know, such different powers. And, Jane's powers causing pain. I'm like, dang, girl. And I find it also interesting that Carlisle lived with them for a time. But yeah, so she saves him, and then the Volturi's like, oh, well, she's a human, so we have to kill you all because she knows our secret, and that's the main vampire rule, is to not tell a human about secrets. And then they're like, no, we're going to change her. Alice is like, I've seen it, we're going to change her, I'm going to change her. So then they're allowed to leave, and then they go back home. And Edward and Bella don't talk about their issues for a hot minute. I'm like, okay, I understand because you're tired, but it's also really important to isolate and, you know, talk about your issues before you take any further steps. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like he literally dumped you in the craziest way possible and is now acting like you're the center of his world. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, they're both so irrational. It makes me so mad.
Literally. So, I personally believe she forgave Edward way too quickly. They barely talked about their issues, and she was like, I still love you, I want to be with you. And I don't think that's right. I think it's okay to give people another chance, but I think that you should at least talk your issues out beforehand. Like, Edward didn't show you that he'd change.
But, like, she just did not care about that.
No.
And she did not care about herself at all. She was so, like, obsessed with Edward.
Mm-hmm.
It was insufferable. Bella.
Bella Loca.
Bella, where the hell have you been, Loca?
Literally. So, I feel bad because Jacob's like, well, you can't be friends with vampires and werewolves. Also, because of the treaty, we're not allowed to be on your land if the vampires and Cullens are back. So they can't be friends anymore, which just sucks.
That's so sad.
Poor
Oh
Jacob.
my God.
I don't feel bad for Bella. She was the one who chose Edward over Jacob.
Yeah.
But I feel really bad for Jacob because he really thought that they were going to go somewhere, obviously.
I know. Oh my God.
It was so sad because Edward was like, thank you so much, Jacob, for keeping her alive when I couldn't. He's like, well, I didn't do it for your benefit. And I'm like, oh, Jacob. Oh.
Jacob.
But I liked Jacob. I thought he was a good, consistent character. The only time he became inconsistent was obviously whenever he became a werewolf. Because I'm talking way too fast. I need to calm down. Sorry, guys. Whenever he became a werewolf, he obviously started to get more emotions, but that's because of the transformation stage, and he's a newborn, and all these different things. So I understand why his emotions, and he started to get a bit more angry more easily. Edward had no excuse to constantly be mad and angry.
Yeah, genuinely, like, what was wrong with him?
Yeah.
He
Like, not all the Cullens were like that.
Yeah.
And it's like all the werewolves were like that because that's how werewolves are. But not nearly as bad as Edward. Edward's just like that.
He's just a bad person. He just sucks.
You know how he's like, oh, if we have a little bit of our powers when we're alive as humans, then they'll be heightened when we're vampires. How bad of a person when he was a human?
Yeah. Literally.
Because literally, like, if he's that controlling and mean now... So I was mad at them both. I kind of hated Edward a little bit less in some ways because he does realize that he's unhealthy for Bella. So at least he's self-aware.
That was the only thing that I liked is when he decided to leave. Not in the way that he told her he was going to leave, but just like the decision to leave and never come back. Even though he didn't live up to that. But I thought that was a really good decision.
Yeah. I personally, in this book, am Team Jacob.
Me too.
Even though Jacob deserves way better.
Yeah. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, Bella and Edward do deserve each other.
Because they are both very selfish.
Exactly. They're so selfish. They are so irrational. And they are so...
Dramatic.
Dramatic and irrationally obsessed with each other for no reason. Even though neither of them really have many redeeming qualities. And neither of them are very interesting at all. Like, Edward... He's just angry all the time. And Bella, she's just like, I don't know. She's like dramatic.
She's like, Edward. Turn me into a vampire.
Bruh. Don't even get me started.
You can talk about it. This is the podcast.
Oh my God. Yeah, like, you're alive forever. And you're never getting older than 18. Like, what about your parents? What about Charlie?
What are you going to say to them when you look the exact same when they're, like, 60 years old, your parents? What are you going to say to them?
You'll have to, like, fake your death and run away. All for Edward? Are you kidding me? For Edward, you're leaving your parents and hurting your parents for Edward?
Poor parents. They deserve such a better kid.
I know. Charlie was so amazing.
Yeah.
Justice for Charlie.
Literally.
Justice for Jacob.
Justice for Renee. Justice for all of freaking Bella's friends.
Yeah.
Quote unquote friends.
Justice for everyone except for Bella and Edward. Yeah.
And yeah, I agree. And also, like, you're alive forever. That's a huge philosophical debate in itself. The question of immortality, the question of living forever. Would you be able to live forever? Would anyone be able to? Would you be able to live with one person forever?
Like, she's so blinded by her obsession with Jacob, like she did with Edward, that she doesn't even stop. Like, that never comes up. Like, the concept of immortality never comes up. And she never even, like, stops once to think about it. Like, you are so stupid. I'm so sorry. She's so dumb.
She's not thinking long term about anything. The love triangle is beginning in this one. Jacob never stood a chance.
Yeah, it's not really a love triangle.
It's so sad because, honestly, if Bella could improve on herself and become a better person, her and Jacob could be amazing together. of course, just talking about what happens in New Moon. I'm not going to talk about what happens in Breaking Dawn. You guys know what I'm talking about. With the baby. But we're not there yet.
You named my daughter after the Loch Ness Monster?
Yeah, exactly. So we're not going to go there yet because right now we are Team Jacob.
Mm-hmm.
That'll change.
Yes. Yeah, like she only hung out with him because he distracted her from Edward, and everything leads back to Edward in her mind. And oh my god.
Yeah. But yeah, that's basically all my thoughts. The marry me at the end, like Edward saying, I have one condition, Bella. Like, if you want me to turn you into a vampire, we're gonna have to get married. And I was like, bro, you guys are basically married at this point.
Yeah.
And she's 18 years old.
Yeah.
That's really young.
Mm-hmm. That is like barely legal.
Yeah. Exactly.
That's
so
crazy.
that was like a bit crazy. Yeah. So that was crazy. Do you have any other thoughts on the book?
No.
Yeah. I liked it a lot, though. I found it very entertaining. I didn't like it quite as much as the first book, because obviously the first book is like, has more like happy feelings. This one's a bit more serious and focuses on more serious tones and themes. But I still found it very interesting. I rated it like a 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah.
I rated the first one 4 out of 5, but I'd say it's a higher 4 stars. This one is like a lower 4 stars out of 5 stars.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. Because I did find it very entertaining, though, and it was really addicting. And at the same time, it was like, wow, I really feel in tune with everyone who's read this book right now. Like, I can understand why so many people were Team Jacob and why Stephenie Meyer eventually had to do something about it to get them to be Team Edward. Like, I felt like I was fully in it. What did you rate it?
I would rate it a 3.5 out of 5 because I found it like a little bit boring. I'm so sorry.
No, that's fair.
And yeah, I was just so Team Jacob, and it made me sad. I know
Because we
it would
know what's
never
going to
be
happen.
Jacob. Yeah. And I hate Edward, and I don't like Bella, and I don't love like the central plot, which is basically just Edward and Bella's romance, and that everything kind of that happens centers around that. I thought that like it just annoyed me, and I thought it like kind of was taking away from the story. But other than that, you're right, it was so addicting, it was so entertaining, and I thought it did handle like this more serious themes really well, and it was overall well written, except for Edward and Bella. Yeah, I love complex characters, and I love unlikable characters, but only when they're like their personality is built correctly and they're
You know why they are the way they are.
Exactly, yeah. Whereas I feel like for Bella and Edward, we don't really know, you know? Yeah.
I totally agree with that, especially Edward. I mean, he's lived such a long, rich life. You'd think he'd know how to act more maturely than the way he does.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. If you enjoyed and you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. And if you're on Spotify, please leave us a follow and a rating and share this episode or podcast page to anyone who you think might like it. But yeah, thank you so much for listening. In the next episode, we will be comparing this book to the New Moon movie adaptation. Again, it might not be too long of an episode, but it'll still be interesting to talk about nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we hope you have an amazing rest of your night. Bye, guys.
Bye.